I'm just gonna refresh. All right. All right, we are live, and I'm just grabbing the link here so I can throw it all over the internet. Starting off with the Science Wizard side. Cauldron Comics. That there. And retweet that there. Okay. Alrighty. So, hello, everybody. Whoever's with us, whoever's coming in as it goes. We're not super big just yet on the Indiesphere. Just yet. I know we only got about 68 subscribers at the moment. Great people, obviously. Not to diminish their contributions at all, but you never know with this stuff. Everyone's got different schedules. You never know how many people you're going to get in or how many people are going to see it. We usually get a few, and then we usually have like several more after that with the uploads after the stream is finished. So I am Josh, the Amazing Animator with Science Wizard Comics, and I am here today with Michael Derrick of Cauldron Comics and creator of
the Abductables. I don't know if Josh just dipped out or what happened. I'm sure he'll be back at any moment. And there he is.
There it is. So I was just going to hold up this little puppy here. First issue of the Abductables. It is a amazing comic. That was it. I genuinely am speaking from the bottom of my heart when I say this, Michael. And of course, whoever's joining us, whenever you drop in, follow him on Twitter at Cauldron Comics and on Minds at Cauldron Comics. And of course, we are also on Minds now with Science Wizard Comics. It's at Science Wizard Comics. And I am also on Minds myself, my personal account, and that is at Josh the Animator. So yeah, the Abductables. This book right here, it is so good. Bottom of my heart, like it was one of the best comics I read when that came out. I believe that was 2018, right?
2019, yeah.
2019. So I was probably around the beginning of 2019. But yeah, that came out of nowhere, man. Is that your first comic that you wrote?
It's not the first. Well, it's the first like full comic I wrote. I did some shorts before the Abductables. I did a 10-page horror story, and then I did some web comics here and there. But yeah, I guess you could say Abductables was my first official comic. And thank you for saying that, by the way. That's that means a lot to me to hear you say that you enjoyed it that much.
Yeah, no, it was easily my favorite of the entire year. And I you know, obviously I'm still reading some mainstream comics, and I'm reading a lot of manga and stuff. I don't really count the manga. That's kind of like a whole different vibe, a whole different tone than American-made comics for the most part. We also got one person in here right now, Pierluigi. Ciao, buonasera from Italy. He's a good fella, good friend of the channel. And just wanted to give a shout out since I saw him there. But as I was saying, though, I gotten a lot of indie comics over between 2017 and now. Not as much as I this year and last year as I was the years before, just because I've been, managing all the Science Wizard stuff, and we had our own drama and financial woes with Science Wizard with the Wampool campaign, but all those are cleared up now, and we're moving on very quickly towards my first comic, Pineapple Pizza Man. This is a rough version that I did, and it's just like the black and white rough sketches of each of the pages. So I made sure to get all of the rough pages all roughed out, ahead of time. I lettered it all ahead of time just so I have like a good idea of the book as I'm working on the inking and the coloring. And it's working pretty awesome. Good. But
Yeah, that's a character that's been around the internet for a while that you've been promoting. So it's cool to see that the book's going to be coming out.
yeah, it's about damn time, I'd say. But
Yep.
I've been working pretty diligently on that. Inking. Got the first page colored, the next 4 pages inked. So it's going to be a while because I mean this is my first, so I want to make sure it's
Yeah.
when it's fresh out of the oven. And plus, like, it's important that I bring that up because I've got big shoes to fill. I mean, I've got one hell of a competitor here as far as entertaining indie comics goes. This was so good, man. I loved right from the beginning the concept of it, where it's a guy who gets abducted, and then he turns it around on the aliens. So he ends up being, whereas normally it's like, oh, an abduction story, the aliens are tormenting this guy, and you see something like fire in the sky or something like that. And it's psychologically damaging to him, and he's got amnesia and all this other stuff, and tormented and barely able to function. But then you get the Abductables, where same kind of premise, guy gets abducted. Oh, and also we got Humble Marty in the chat. So hello, Humble Marty. So same kind of premise, guy gets abducted, but then it flips it around and he becomes the tormentor of the aliens.
Yes.
Fantastic premise. I love it. It's super fun. So if you guys haven't gotten the Abductables already, make sure to check out his Indiegogo for the Abductables 2, which he just launched just a couple of weeks back. And I'll post it in the chat there for everybody. But tell me a little bit about the Abductables 2. And I forgot I was kind of in the middle of saying this, but make sure that you check out the Indiegogo because you can also get the first issue of the Abductables.
Yes.
So you're going to want to do that. It is a fantastic read. It was super entertaining from start to finish. He's really going to be a talent to watch going forward. That's what I get from my first read through of the Abductables. So make sure to get on that. Now, what is the Abductables 2 about? So at the end of the Abductables, this guy, he's dealt with the aliens. He's back on Earth, right? If I remember correctly.
So yeah, the Abductables 2 definitely leads directly out of the events of the first one. So at the end of Abductables 1, through a bizarre twist of fate, the abductee, who is the big muscly guy, he actually finds himself working for the very Greys that he was abducted by. So whereas the first one was, like you said, a role reversal where we kind of flipped the script and turned the tables on the aliens and kind of almost had them be the victims of the human running wild on their ship. Again, with the second one, we're flipping the dynamic yet again. And now, like I said, he's going to be working for the aliens. He kind of willingly lets himself be abducted at the end of the first book. And so we actually get to go into space and actually visit the Greys' homeworld and kind of see their society through his eyes. And he at the beginning of Abductables 2, the abductee, he's kind of acting as a kind of the muscle, the enforcer, kind of the bodyguard for the Greys. He gets them out of jams when it comes to dealing with hostile alien life forms and cleaning up the messes that they make in their various scientific pursuits. But that kind of escalates into when the reptilian arrives, who's kind of the main villain of book 2. All hell breaks loose and things lead into a full-out war. So while the second book definitely has the same kind of comedic elements as the first one, this time around we're definitely focusing more on the action side of things and really just things go into like a full-on space opera epic with a lot of action scenes, a lot of crazy new alien races and planets, and it's all about upping the stakes.
That's awesome. So you're really, really expanding upon the world that you've established in the first Abductables and delving into, not just like other alien races, but also the culture behind these races, eh?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's the first one was very self-contained, kind of just mostly took place on the one spaceship. It was black and white. It was very very simple concept, a very very fun concept. But now that we established all that in the first book, the second one really is all about uh raising the stakes and opening up the lore of the world that the Greys inhabit. The fun thing about using the gray aliens in particular is they're so like well known in pop culture. Like they're the stereotypical aliens that people make jokes about. Oh, they abduct you and they probe you, and that's all fun. And it kind of like it makes for a very sturdy foundation to build a story upon because, like I said, everybody knows about the gray aliens, but to actually explore their homeworld and their culture and see like really what they're all about outside of just the typical alien abduction. I think a lot of people will be interested to see really what makes them tick and why they do the things they do.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested, and I've already backed it. They're at $2,971 right now, out of their 10,174 goal. I mean, that's in Canadian.
Yeah.
So it's probably a little different than American, but like it's almost halfway there. Only 14 days left. Is this of a 60-day cycle, or do you still have the option to
Yeah,
expand?
So we do have a 30-day extension if we don't reach our goal by then. That would be worst case scenario, just because the sooner we get funded, the sooner we get the book out. I definitely would prefer to go in demand as soon as possible. But yeah, if we don't make our goal by the end of the 14 days, we do have one more 30-day extension. So
yeah, and I think we'll definitely be able to get it. We'll keep plugging it, keep pushing it, keep getting the word out, and keep reminding people how damn good it is. Because I don't just say that. I don't just kiss people's butts, just because I happen to like them as people. No. If I'm telling you it's a good product, if it's a good book, I mean it. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. So I implore everybody to check this out. You won't be sorry. I wasn't.
Yeah, and that's something I'm really grateful for is like the word of mouth that has been going around for the first Abductables. It was really well received. People really seemed to enjoy it, and that I got the idea for the sequel at some point during the production of the first book, but it was really the encouragement that I got from people for the first book that really made me want to do the sequel.
I'm liking the design of this reptilian too, especially here on the cover. That looks cool.
Yeah, it's not the reptilians, that's another thing, picked out of kind of UFO alien lore mythology, like the classic reptilian, but we're kind of taking it in a different direction with this book. When people think of reptilians, when it comes to like conspiracies and stuff, they think of like, the shapeshifters, that kind of run the deep state. And, that's definitely something we want to explore in a future book. But for this one, the reptilian, he's kind of one of a kind. He's almost like a intergalactic warlord in this. Like he's really, you talk about like role reversals and showing things in a different light. The reptilian in this case, because the thing about the first Abductables was like the contrast between the little gray aliens versus this big muscly dude who looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. Basically, it's
kind of like a slasher film almost for a good.
Yeah. It was kind of like with the that was really honestly how it was conceived, was like kind of a parody almost of like the original Alien from Ridley Scott. How only instead of the hostile organism picking off the humans one by one, it's actually the human who's the hostile organism. But to up the stakes for the second one, in the reptilian, we have a guy who's actually even more deadly than the abductee. He's stronger, he's bigger, he's meaner. So while the abductee kind of had a field day killing all the little grays in the first one, he's definitely more than met his match this time around, and he's in for a fight that he's never had before, and it's gonna take everything in his power to come out on top.
That's dope. I gotta wonder, do you guys have plans for more Abductables beyond this? Like, and if you do you plan to like pull from a lot of the like alien sort of lore that is out there, similar to like the reptilians and the greys and like the real world sort of conspiracy theory alien lore? You know what I mean? Because there's a whole lot of different races and like conspiracy theories surrounding the various, you know, races and areas and
that's funny you bring that up, because hopefully if there's a demand for a third book, which I definitely have planned, that's exactly what the third book is going to be all about. It's I like to say the third book will leave no stone unturned when it comes to alien lore and UFO conspiracies. Like everything that because you know the first book, very, very simple concept: guy gets abducted by aliens and then fights back. Second book is all about exploring the universe and opening up all this crazy space opera stuff. But the third book, it's almost back to basics, full on conspiracy theory, ancient aliens, reptilians in a different light than the reptilian you see in book 2. So yeah, I definitely want to explore all the crazy kind of conspiracy stuff that is kind of associated with alien lore in the third book.
Nice. Now, speaking of conspiracies, do you have any ideas or plans for any particular Easter eggs for conspiracy theorists? Like an Alex Jones type, or maybe even a Bob Jones. I don't know if you know that reference, but early on when I was first kind of getting into the indie comic scene, we used to be on this podcast called Meeting of the Minds.
Yes.
And he kind of made this Bob Jones character, and he was always talking about the reticuloids. And,
yes.
and that always, when I saw reticulus, that immediately kind of conjured up memories of that and him talking about the reticuloids. So I wonder, do you have any plans to have a Bob Jones in there? Because I know you kind of like were in that circle as well to some degree.
Yeah, I think the first live stream I ever did when I first started making comics back in 2018, I think was on Bob's show with you. I think you were one of the guests as well.
I might have been, because I know Canales was on there quite a bit, and Canales is of course the acclaimed artist on this project, as he was with the first one.
Yes, and you know, it's funny you mentioned Bob Jones / Alex Jones is absolutely in the third book. There's going to be a stand-in for Alex Jones. We refer to him as the Prophet. It's I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say, yeah, like again, leaving no stone unturned when it comes to UFO lore. You can't go in that direction without having some kind of Alex Jones type guy to really you know, tell it like it is as far as the conspiracy theories go.
Absolutely. I just had to put that out there because as soon as I saw Reticulous, it immediately made me think of him. So
yeah,
if he ends up watching this stream later, shout out to my buddy Bob Jones.
Yes.
Otherwise known as the other Josh, otherwise known as
yeah, I didn't even know, like I just found that out recently, like that his name is, like his real name is Josh. Like to me he's just Bob Jones, but yeah, that's actually his alter ego.
yeah we all go by many different screen names and
yes.
and identities on the interwebs here, especially when you get like banned and whatnot, like as often as eBay Canales has been banned.
Oh God, yeah.
He always manages to find his way back. Luckily, we have Minds now. So Minds, we can go on and we can speak our minds, and we can actually have some measure of free speech on the internet, on a social media platform, without the constant fear and threat of being canceled by oversensitive man children.
Yeah, and I just hope that Minds doesn't get the parlor treatment, because that would be a real shame.
Yeah, I think they're working pretty hard and pretty diligently, like, to get ahead of that, like, right now before, they do try to come for them, because it really is just inevitable. Like, ultimately, they just want to stop people that don't agree with the, globalist agenda to be able to, speak against it. Now I sound like Bob Jones.
Well, yeah, but it's
true.
funny. Yeah, that's the thing about Alex Jones is, not to. It's not like I'm like the world's biggest Alex Jones fan. I find him entertaining the way a lot of people do. They watch the clips of him going crazy, and it's fun to watch.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's like, how many of his quote unquote conspiracy theories have been proven true in the last few years? It really makes you think, like, things that we would laugh at years ago are coming true now. It's like, wow, it makes you think, what else is going to come true?
One thing I always say is that the only thing that you need to prove Alex Jones right is time.
Yeah, exactly.
He seems to always get proven right eventually. It's usually just like further down the line, like a year later or like 2 years later or something, But like,
yeah, and it's like, he was like one of the first like big names to get banned. Like now people get banned left and right like it's nothing. But
he was the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, exactly. And even back then when he first got banned, like pretty much off of every social media platform, it's like, well, if what he's saying is so crazy, why do you need to ban him? That really, I think, raised a lot of eyebrows. And
exactly, if what he's saying is so crazy, then just let people laugh at how stupid it is and go about their daily lives. But as soon as you cut out his tongue, you just like, why? People just think, why was he so afraid of what that guy was saying? There must be something true to it.
Yeah, it's just so like, even like just on a practical level, it's so stupid to ban people like Alex. And it's dumb to ban anybody, but particularly like a guy like Alex Jones, because like you said, that really just amplifies his message even more in a way, because it really makes people think, well, what is he saying that's so controversial? And then they actually listen to what he has to say. Whereas before, if they hadn't banned him, they probably wouldn't have. They would have just assumed, oh yeah, he's just a crazy conspiracy theory guy.
Yeah, if he had never been banned, people would just be like, ha ha ha, that's silly Alex Jones over there.
Yeah.
His silly InfoWars show. And then go about their days. But now it's just like, God damn.
Yeah.
Everything he said is coming through.
Yeah, crazy times, man. It's it can be kind of daunting to try to promote comics and make comics in these times that are so politically charged, and things are so crazy in the real world. But then again, I think it's probably because things are so crazy in the real world, it's more important now than ever to kind of provide that form of escapism in any way I can.
It's crazy because you can't even you can't even make the kind of like content that should appeal to that crowd, that woke crowd, without getting canceled, as long as if you don't think the same way that they do. Because you see that with Troy, with One Cool, because his book has a lot of the kind of diversity that they want, that they are always clamoring for. It's got a body positive, overweight Hispanic bisexual in a homosexual relationship as the main character. It's got like and much more beyond that. But I mean, I don't want to get too much into it, because some of what I'm thinking of is stuff that doesn't show up until issue 3, and I don't want to give spoilers. I don't want to step on Troy's toes. But people were getting upset at him for his comic and trying to cancel him over that, and succeeded a couple times even. But he always comes back. But you just ultimately you just roll with it, find whatever platform will let you on, and then just keep on doing what you're doing. But
and that's why that's why I'm staying on Twitter until they inevitably ban me, just because might as well use their weapons against them for as long as we can, because it's I understand that Twitter is a pretty awful place, but at the same time, I've made a lot of connections through Twitter. It's like it's a tool. It's like anything else. Like it could be used for good or it could be used for evil. So yeah, it's but I am grateful that we have platforms like Minds that are an alternative, and it's been so fun to see like so many people from the comics community just. It was like a mass exodus over to Minds. It's like, okay, now we don't have to worry because we're all at that place at the very least.
Yeah, and Minds is still kind of growing. It's not perfect just yet. There's some issues. It could be improved, especially for artists and for promotion stuff and whatnot. Like you can only post one image at a time, which is a little bit irritating. Especially as an artist, you're just like, oh, I want to show off these 4 pictures, but I have to do 4 separate posts to do it. So stuff like that, I'm sure they're probably working on, and will eventually get better with time, and especially as they get more people onto the platform. And I figure, I don't expect that I'll get canceled from Twitter anytime soon because I tend to keep it relatively clean.
And
I try to follow their rules, or at least the ones that we know apply to people that aren't on the far left, because we know there are different rules for each side. But, I figure I'll just like keep using Twitter, and I'll continue using Minds as well concordantly until Twitter explodes because of their horribleness, because they just are worse than worse. Let me just go to the comments here for a section because I see a question from Pierluigi Caputo. He says, but why this nonsense? I'm not 100% sure I understand the context of that because we've been talking for a little bit. And I don't know.
We've been talking about a lot of nonsense. You got to be more specific.
plenty nonsense. Alex Jones nonsense, Twitter nonsense, Minds nonsense, comic nonsense. What nonsense? But he says, reminds me, I still need to work on lots of things, but all I can do is make a schedule first. It's like, yeah. I mean, schedule if you can. It doesn't work for everybody. I'm terrible at scheduling, particularly because I am the king of overestimating how long something will take me to do. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be able to ink and color this book in 2 months time, and I'm like 4 pages in, so I'm just like, I think I'll just have it be done when it's done,
Yeah, it's it's not an easy thing. Like I'm assuming this independent comics movement, whether you want to call it Comicsgate or just indie comics, teen comics, like all these, this kind of crowdfunded indie community, like, the majority of us, we have our day jobs and we're doing this purely for the passion. Very, very few of us are actually making any kind of profit or any, could even do this as a living. So, time is very precious, and it can be difficult to, juggle so many, have so many plates spinning at the same time. But, that's the passion for comics will get you through that.
Yeah. I mean, and not only that, but like a lot of people are like very stringent about who they're going to support based on like how their performance is, particularly on the timing of things, Like we had a couple of people who were like really upset that we were late with Wampool. I mean, we were working hard on it all the time, practically every day. But, we had like more than a few hiccups and unexpected costs, unexpected theft of our money, from the AM Print Solution fiasco. And it's like you never know what's going to happen. So, especially if you are doing these kind of campaigns in the way that they were really initially set up to be used as, is a way to fund the creation of something. That's to say, like, you have a pitch, here's what I want to create, and you're like, oh yeah, I want that to be created, I want to help make that get made. And then you have, your tiers, so that when it does get made, you get something off of it as well. Like you get to be the first in line to get that, essentially like a pre-order.
Yeah, and I'm glad you made that point, because I feel like that's almost, people forget that sometimes, because especially a lot of the people that came from the big two that are crowdfunding now, like the big pros, like some in contrast to like the big names where it is almost like, oh yeah, you're kind of pre-ordering the book. But the thing about crowdfunding is like, this these books can't be made without these crowdfunding campaigns, because we don't have the backing of a publisher. We don't have that support system. We're really doing it all on our own, and it's only because of the backers that we could do this at all. So yeah, it's that really is the heart of crowdfunding. That I think, I understand people get frustrated about late books and all the unforeseen things that could go wrong during the process of creating and crowdfunding a book. But I mean, that's these books wouldn't exist otherwise, and we really. I'm just grateful that we even have crowdfunding, because it's like, even, if you want to say for political reasons, we're all blacklisted from the industry. We're not going to get any Image Comics deals anytime soon. So yeah, it really is 100% the people that are, the backers that are keeping us afloat.
Yeah, it's as grassroots as it gets. And to my point, though, going on what I was building off of, it's the mindset for the general community of indie comics, backers with Indiegogo and Kickstarter and whatnot, is they are treating it more like a pre-order than they are as a Kickstarter, or a crowdfunder. It's just that the audience has kind of developed a different sort of what's the word I'm looking for? I guess a different kind of mindset than what the
expectations.
A different expectation than what the platform was initially kind of designed for. And that was kind of one of the big learning experiences with the Wanpool campaign is seeing exactly how that has manifested. And it's not like we're saying like, oh, it's bad that people have this expectation, but it's important to understand that expectation so that you can create your products and market them effectively and get things out on time, because on time seems to be one of the things that's most important to the community. And so that's one of the things that, we're focusing on with all of our books moving forward, similarly to how the Iconic Comics team with Common America and Black Ops and whatnot are doing. We're making sure to have our books finished and ready to go before we even launch the campaign. So, and I think that's how you really have to do it these days. But anyway, real quick, just want to get to the chat here. There's Danny Rendon has joined us as well, and he says, Michael, loved the first book. So glad I got around to reading it. Hail, friend. So
thank you, Danny. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Danny's good people. I see him every once in a while, and he drops in on occasion here on the stream too. So welcome, Danny. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting Abductables and Science Wizard Comics. Pierre Luigi says, I've been working on Azarina since 2018. Still lots of work needs to be done, and I've just scratched the surface. All for a video game, and who knows, maybe a comic too. Yeah, he's been talking to me about that. He's got a character, Azarina. He's been working on trying to get that off the ground, and he's putting a lot of work into it. So kudos and congrats to Pierre Luigi. Hopefully you see something materialize soon through your efforts, and hopefully those efforts aren't in vain. And we'll definitely have you on the stream at some point to help you promote that when you've got something to put out there. Danny Rendon also says, personally, I don't mind a late book. And I'm right there with you, Danny. I personally am one of those folks that is just like, hey, as long as you get me the book eventually, I'm fine. I'm happy to wait. But
and I think, for the most part, backers are very, very understanding when it comes to, lateness or anything like that. Yeah, obviously, it's the worst case scenario to be late. You definitely don't want to do that. Yeah. But, I think the most important thing is to keep people informed and to provide those updates, because, so many people, so many bad actors within crowdfunding have kind of given people bad experiences. So it's so important to, if you're going to be late, just, explain why and explain to your backers, just keep them updated. That's the most important thing. Don't just leave them hanging, because so many people have done that, and it really gives crowdfunding a bad name. And,
I think it's important to keep an open line of communication with people. And one thing in particular is that if a backer does, come to you and say like, hey, I'm just wondering where things are at, you should never be mad at them. You should never be like
No.
upset or anything. Like, and I know I have seen some people who have gotten that way. You know, you just explain, you know, as you know, as much as you can, like where you're at, how things are going, where things will be, where you hope things will, you know, be soon. And
yeah, and that's another thing about crowdfunding is there's a deeper connection to the backers / readers than if they had just like, you know, bought the book on Amazon or went to the comic shop. Like, because the backers are funding the project, and because the project wouldn't exist without the backers, it's more important than ever for that line of communication to be open between you and the people supporting the project. Because again, it's not just as simple as buying the book online. They're literally funding its creation. So anything you can do as a crowdfunding creator to keep them in the loop and keep them involved in the process is totally essential.
Yeah, and I think that one of the worst things that you can do as a creator and as somebody running one of these campaigns is to just completely ghost somebody who's trying to get in contact with you or you know, get some kind of answer out of you. You know, I've had that a couple of times with a few different projects. You know, and that's the kind of stuff that like really turns people off, myself included. You know, because if I'm saying like, hey, you know, it's been X amount of time since the campaign ended. It's been X amount of time since we've gotten any kind of update. Can I get an idea of where we're at, or if things are going to be shipped out soon, or et cetera, et cetera? You know, especially if you haven't gotten any of those updates. Like, yeah, like you gotta just tell it like it is. Be like, hey, this is where we're at. This is where it is. You know, as long as you're cool like that, then I'm okay. But like Danny Randon was saying, he said it's a nice surprise. He doesn't keep track, and I'm a lot the same way. I don't really keep track until it's like I don't really notice that I don't have a book until it's been like a really long time after the campaign ended, and then I'm just like, okay, where is this thing? I better start getting in contact with people and see where things are at.
Yeah.
But when people do have things ready to go, and then once the campaign is done, you know, similar to the Iconic Comics team, where it's just like, okay, we're done, boom, send it to print. You know, it's right away. And then you get something like really quickly. Like, it is definitely a very nice surprise, because you're just like, wow, I just backed this and I already have it. And there's like other campaigns that I've been waiting on for like 2+ years, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely nice. It definitely keeps, you know, people receiving content so that they're not, you know, constantly in that state of waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Pierre Luigi says this book looks curious. Hope to see it one day in Italy too.
We definitely you know, this book is available worldwide. You know, anybody in the world who wants to get a copy. I think, you know, we keep our international shipping as low as we can. I know that's kind of a deal breaker for a lot of people, is international shipping can be very expensive. Especially, you know, I hear all the time people say that they're going to back a book, but then the shipping ends up being higher than the book itself, and it just completely turns them off. So, you know, it's important. You know, I definitely try to keep the international shipping as low as possible. And honestly, even like for a lot of our higher tier perks, it's free worldwide shipping. So, you know, definitely check out the different perks if you're an international backer in particular, because there's some really good deals there. And
yeah, there you go, Pierre Luigi. Make sure to check it out. We got the we should have the campaign, the link for it in the chat and in the description down below. I'll put it in the chat again here for you, just in case you want to check it out again. And yeah, it's there's plenty of tiers here. You know, they've got art commission tiers. You know, get drawn into the book tiers. They just sold the original art tier, which is awesome, by Jeff Lasley, which he does really great stuff. He actually drew Pineapple Pizza Man recently, which was really fun.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love his work. He's one of my favorite artists in the community. Like, really good stuff.
Yeah, it's nice to see the like the hand painted stuff. You don't see that a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's always. I was talking about this on a previous stream. I just love. It's always fun to see your characters reinterpreted in all these different art styles, which I'm sure you've experienced with Pineapple Pizza Man.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, it's just really cool to see all the different styles.
There's nothing I love more than seeing our characters drawn by other people, because you never know like what kind of aspects of the character they're going to, you know, kind of hone in on, and or you know, beef up or what have you. It's all over the place. You never know, and
yeah, for sure.
It's exciting seeing like how they're going to interpret that. And,
yeah.
I can't find the Jeff Lastly one. I was gonna try and.
If you for Pineapple Pizza Man.
Yeah, I wanted to show that.
Yeah.
It was funny. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because I want to show you guys. This is really cool. He did a fun play on words with it too, which I always love, especially when you got like a ridiculous character like Pineapple Pizza Man, who just like, you know that the comic is gonna have like all kinds of food puns.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're oh, here it is. Just found it. So here it is. It was Pineapple Pizza Man versus Orange Slice.
Nice.
Orange Slice has knives for hands. I love it.
That's great. You gotta steal that character from him.
Yeah, I just might. I'll probably have to buy it off him or something. But, it'd be worth it. It'd be worth it. But I actually had Pierre Luigi, sweetheart, says Pineapple Pizza Man is very funny. I hope you guys enjoy the comic. Hopefully he's as funny as you're hoping it is in the book. It's actually pretty action-packed for the first issue. Much more than like even I thought it would probably be. But once I got drawing it, I was just like, it needs more action.
Yep.
We had, I think in the script, like he put it like it was probably like 1 or 2 pages, you know, for a certain action sequence. And then I was just like, no, that needs to be like 8 pages.
Yeah, that's a good instinct to have. You know, you never have too much action when it comes to comics.
Yeah, actually, here's something from Danny Rendon. He says, also, I like parasocial relationships with creators. Y'all are sweet to us on Twitter. And I think that's another thing that's really kind of come about with this whole crowdfunding craze, is it's sort of like brought the relationship between the creator and the customer a lot closer than it ever has been before, especially in comics. Whereas before, it's always been, you know, you've got the creator, they make their stuff, and then there's the publisher, and then there's distributors, and then there's the comic book stores, and you've got all these separation. And nowadays, it's like you're getting straight from the creator to the consumer.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, you know, this goes for me, and I'm sure the majority of people on crowdfunding is, you know, not only are we creating the books ourselves, but I'm literally, it's me who's, you know, packing up the packages, bagging and boarding the books, mailing them out. So it really is that closer relationship than you would otherwise get if you sold it through a publisher or what have you. Like, this is really DIY to the fullest extent.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus, like, there's also a lot more with the different creators kind of coming together and communicating and just having fun with their characters. Like you see with this picture here I got up of it's got Clayman, it's got Pineapple Pizza Man, a whole bunch of other indies, just all sorts of, like, people are just like, hey, why not? Let's just do it. Like, hey, let's get Pineapple Pizza Man with Clayman. Let's get the Abductables guy with Wanpool. Let's smash them together and see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
A lot more fun to be had when you have this more collaborative kind of atmosphere that's going around, not just with creator on creator, but also creator and fan. You know, you've got polls and you've got fan art, and there's nothing I love more than getting fan art. I tell you what.
Yes.
It's like the ultimate flattery.
Really, it is. Yeah, it's a great feeling. And yeah, I think I think there should be more, even more collaborations. Like, you know, it's always fun to see, you know, some comparisons have been made, like with the crowdfunding movement that's going on now and like the image revolution. And, you know, I definitely see that there are some parallels there. And, you know, one of those being like back in the day, Image Comics guys, you know, they'd have their characters, you know, appear in each other's books all the time. And, you know, they still retain their ownership of their own character, but it's just something fun have those crossover moments. And
Yeah.
why not? We're all interacting with each other anyway. It's just another fun way to promote each other, is have those crossovers.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was actually, I had a circle of creator friends that were even talking about doing like a big sort of indie crossover at some point. They're not all under the same company. They're all with different creators and whatnot. But we were thinking of getting them all together and joining them up, and that was going to be the Revengers.
Nice.
Yeah. But I mean, you could see kind of the seeds of that here. And it's sideways, but you can still see the sticker sheet here.
Mm-hmm.
And that had all of the characters that were supposed to be in the Revengers. You had Aldrake and Sportman, Wallenpool, my own character, J-Pop, Helena, who was a character created by a good friend of ours who unfortunately has kind of been forced off of the internet for a long time now, and we certainly miss her. We got Sugar Lightspeed. We got this fella here who I can't remember the name off the top of my head from the Ferryman. You got Jack Irons and Regina from Rags, and it was a really big thing, and it almost came together, but unfortunately it also fell apart. So.
Yeah, I mean, logistically, it would probably be pretty hard to do like a specific like crossover book, like featuring everybody, as opposed to just pinups and whatnot. But I think it'll definitely happen at some point. Just the stars will have to align. But yeah, it'll be cool when it happens.
And even if no big crossover thing narratively ever happens with all these characters, you still get sometimes stuff like this with this upcoming issue 15 cover for Punchline by Matt Weldon, where he's got all kinds of great characters on here. He's got Pineapple Pizza Man back here with Clayman. He's got Sportman and Machi and the Kiwi guy that he loves drawing, and Niobe, and what was this guy's name again? Willis something. I forget, but he's always got those plaques that he's giving people. And you got Critical Snail here from Pixel Trader. So I mean, we've still got lots of fun stuff like that, and it really does exhibit and express this love of the indie comics and this sort of this great social connection that we all have with it. So I hope that continues. And what with like the Revengers, I mean, that just says they can come together super easily because it's just like, hey, let's do this. And unfortunately, that also means they can fall apart just as easily.
Yep. Yeah, but that is cool. We've thrown some ideas around for possible crossovers with Abductables and some other series, like maybe like an Ash Can or like a backup story. Doesn't have to be its own thing, but it's always cool to see those collaborations, and it's it's as part of the fun. Again, that's one of the benefits of being independent, is we can do that. We don't have to worry about getting permission from our corporate overlords, because we don't have any. It's all just the creators doing our thing.
We are designers of our own destiny.
Yes.
But yeah, one of the things I was thinking would be really fun to do eventually is do like a 2D kind of Marvel versus Capcom kind of style, like fighting game.
Oh yes.
I mean, with all these like indie characters, like you could easily do like just, hey, whenever you got a new character that somebody wants to drop in there, you have Abductables guy drop in, and you could have like all kinds of fun moves where like the aliens come in and help out.
Oh god, now I really want that game to exist.
pulling up like crazy, huge, ridiculous, oversized guns or something like that, and probes. And you got Pineapple Pizza Man with his little laser gun thing. We'll see about that later when you find out in the actual book here. But,
yes. Yeah, I mean, I might take that over a comic book crossover as the video game crossover. That sounds awesome, like a fighting game, like you said.
Right, and you could always do like DLC and stuff too now. So it's just like, let's we'll just update the game, throw in this new character, and everybody gets a new character.
Yep.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. That's one of the things I'd like to do eventually. Maybe start it off with like the Science Wizard Comics characters, Chicken Warrior, Juan Pool, Pineapple Pizza Man, a couple others, and then kind of like offer to get other people to, submit a character, and we could make them and put them in the game and build it up over time into like this great indie fighter.
Yeah, definitely. That could have a lot of potential, honestly.
I think so. I mean, there was one person who was putting together it was sort of like a wave combat multiplayer kind of indie fighter game, but it's in 3D. I don't know how that's going. I saw he had an Indiegogo at some point, but I'm not really sure where that's at. I know he was going to have the Jawbreakers as characters in that. So
yeah, and like the idea of like a crossover fighting game featuring all these characters, that's just fun for us creators. But the more I think about it, it's like that would be great promotion, like outside of comics, because obviously video games much larger audience than comics,
right?
So I mean that would bring in a whole other audience to these characters, and they might just discover them from a video game.
Absolutely. Throw in some some marketing opportunities within the game that kind of leads people to the comics, and that's one way to really kind of like build up all of these franchises, all of these indie creators, and get them more eyes on it. I mean, more eyes is always better, because you never know who this is going to resonate with, and what characters are going to like really gel with people. Who knows? Like maybe Pineapple Pizza Man will end up being like the next James Bond.
You never know.
You never know. Maybe it'll just click with people. But that'd be one way to do it. I mean, I think we should always be sort of working towards figuring out new ideas for getting the word out on these things, So
yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, is it's so important. Like, honestly, I don't even think about the fact that, just for having like the wrong opinions or aligning with the wrong people, like, okay, yeah, most of us are blacklisted from the industry, but honestly, that's not even something I really think about. Like, even if we weren't blacklisted from the industry, I would rather just do it all ourselves anyway, even without that. It's just, it's so important to have that creative control. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had a video game? Well, let's just make it ourselves, because we're making the comics ourselves. We're making, it's just like, why, the corporations have been proven so evil so many times. It's like, why would you want to give anybody any kind of power over your own creations when you could? I mean, now more than ever, because there's the opportunity to do it yourself, it's like, why would anyone want to pass up that opportunity?
Exactly. And there's a lot of us within this community, many of us who, I'm sure are familiar with many people who are animators like myself, or who are, coders, who are in the video game industry. I know a few people. I actually have one of my best friends even has just started up his own game studio, and he's working on their first game. So I'm super excited to see what they come up with. I got another friend who just made his first game. Super excited to check that out. It's who knows? Maybe if at some point you just be like, hey, what do you think? Maybe we get together, we do all these indie characters into a fighting game, see where that goes,
Yeah.
Maybe it becomes a big thing. Maybe it becomes the next big thing. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. That's the thing, is
until you try.
Yeah, we just keep creating, keep putting our ideas out there, and see how they're received.
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe after Pineapple Pizza Man book 1. I mean, this is only issue 1 of book 1. Book 1's going to be 3 issues. Well, technically 4, because issue 1 is a double-sized 42-pager.
Oh wow!
But I mean, after that, maybe I'll start actually like putting my feelers out there and seeing what I can make happen. I can certainly put together some animation for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's definitely a character, even outside of whatever stories you tell with him, like that Pineapple Pizza Man in particular, like that's just a character that can stand on its own as a character.
But also, like, One of the best things about fighting games, and all of my favorite fighting games always had like a very wide variety of characters, like drastically different silhouettes, drastically different power sets. And when you look at like what we've got, like stuff like from Humble Marty, who says she's burnt out on corporate stuff, really happy to just do art. But she's got her character Corkhorn, who's this little short, teeny tiny little unicorn fellow with a cork on his horn. And like that's a drastically smaller, different silhouette from someone like Pineapple Pizza Man, who's like damn near 7 feet tall with his, the crown anyway. And then you've got your guy from the Abductables, very different silhouette, still like a big muscular guy, but like totally different color palette. He's got like the one alien eye, like the one gray eye, and then he's got that little alien helpers that can jump in. You've got Wanpool, who's a big fat Hispanic guy, with a little bit of a high pitched, so almost kind of silly voice. You got Machi, who's like a small like witch girl, little teenager, very cute and cuddly in a way. I mean, you've got like all sorts of characters you can pull from indie comics that would just make for such an amazing fighting game. But
yeah. See, the more we talk about this has to happen now. We can't.
I know. I'm getting all excited.
We have to make this happen. Yeah.
Maybe that's what we'll start with. We'll start with like 4 characters, each from like a different comic property, and then just like put out a demo, see what people think. See how it goes.
I'm sure you're familiar with 6 a.m. Comics. He does.
He does video games too.
Yeah, he does video games, and he's the perfect example of like he draws all these crowdfunded indie comics characters in his like small like chibi style, I guess you could call it. I mean that's a perfect example, like of how all these different characters with all these different silhouettes and powers, like it would totally make sense for them all to come together in that form.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. But also, like, what he should do? He should put that game on Steam. I think he has it on the Apple Play Store, I think it is.
Yeah.
But I think I tried to figure out how to get it on the Apple Play Store. I
still want to play it. I don't know. I guess you have to pay for like the subscription service. I haven't really looked into it, but
I
know he's working on the comic adaptation right now. It's called Starfetched, I believe.
Yeah, believe that's it. But it looks pretty cool. I want to check it out.
I love his art style. It's very unique.
Well, we're at about an hour now, so what do you say we call it a night? Oh, actually, I had one more important question I wanted to ask about the Abductables.
Yes.
And one thing I noticed just now when I pulled this out is that the first Abductables, despite being a pretty big boy, is actually staple bound. And it seems to be like it is at just the cusp of what a staple bound book can handle. So I was wondering if you were planning on doing a perfect binding for the reprint of Abductables on the new campaign.
Oh, the reprint, not the sequel?
Yeah, the reprint of issue 1.
Okay. No, but here's the thing. Like, so Abductables 2 is 60 pages. Abductables 1 is actually only 52 pages. So the reason that the first one is so thick is because we packed it full of so much back matter material. We have the community art gallery. We have some pinups. We've got kind of character bios, stuff like that. There's a lot of bonus material that is exclusive to that print run that won't be in the reprint. The reprint will just be we'll probably put some exclusive pinups in the reprint, but really it's just going to be the story. But if people do want that original printing with all that extra back matter material that you can't find anywhere else, we are selling those original copies. It's actually one of our add-on perks.
Oh, okay.
We don't have that many of them left. So if you do want that original printing, definitely get on it before we sell out. But yeah, the new printing will definitely we'll probably put something exclusive in there just to make it special. But yeah, it won't be most likely won't be perfect bound.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to know. I was wondering about that because it is a thick boy.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I think like I said, it's 52 pages of story, but I think with all the extra pages, it probably came out to about 64 pages. So yeah, very thick. Honestly, at least the printer I worked with, that's their limit for like a floppy comic is 64 pages. So I could have put more in there if I wanted to, because like you said, it's really putting those staples to a good use, because anymore we would have to upgrade to a full-on trade paperback.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, like with Pineapple Pizza Man for the first issue at just 42 pages, I was just like, oh my god, is this be able to handle these staples?
Yeah.
But say, oh no, I mean, I'm looking at the Abductables. It's like 52. All right, they're 10 over what I got, and they're managing. But one of the things I'm thinking of doing with the Pineapple Pizza Man campaign is that if we're able to double our initial what's the word I'm looking for?
Like your funding goal, or
yeah. If we're able to double the funding goal, I think what I'm gonna do is put in like a 8 or 10 page extra little bonus story in there. That'll be exclusive to the Indiegogo until the trade paperback.
Very cool. Yeah,
we've got another character that comes in on. She comes in at the end of issue 2. And that is Chiefess Firewater. I don't know if you've seen her, but she's such a fun character. Let me just pull up her character design.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen that. That's
this girl right here.
Supporting character for. Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's
very cool.
Pineapple Pizza Man's principal love interest. And I was thinking, like, one of the things we do is if we double our initial funding goal. I'll put in like an 8 to 10 page sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Origin,
like a backup story,
like an origin story of how kind of she came to be, how she got her powers and whatnot. Because what her deal is on the right here is her everyday sort of alter ego, Nita Smith. She's a shy, bookwormy, kind of unassuming, cute girl. And then, when she drinks from her magical flask, she becomes Chiefess Firewater. And then when she's in that form, she's like very brazen and, she's very confident and exciting. And, so awesome. She's got this great duality in her, not just her form, but her personality as well, that changes with her. She's basically our magical girl in the Man universe, and she's
almost like a take on like the Drunken Fist, like like she drinks the thing and then like becomes like out of control.
Yeah. I mean, not completely out of control, but she does lose a lot of her inhibitions, which is definitely on point for the Firewater kind of reference. So we got some really cool kind of lore with her. So I really do want to tell that story. So I really hope we manage to do that. So that's going to be our if we double our funding goal is a bonus story for her.
Yeah, that's always a great stretch goal, is add in more like story material.
Yeah, absolutely. I that's my favorite stretch goal stuff is more content, because then it really feels like you're kind of earning it too. But and if we do that as well, actually no, I think either way I'm still going to make sure that the first issue is going to be perfect bound for the Indiegogo, but on the print on demand and regular reprints and stuff like that, it's going to be stapled, because it'll just be the 42 pages, no extras. We're definitely going to have a fan art section, big fan art section as well.
Nice.
We held a contest back when we first came up with Pineapple Pizza Man. And what that contest was to create a villain for Pineapple Pizza Man that could kill him, or that could take him out. And we got a bunch of different submissions. So we're going to also not only just showcase fan art, but also the submissions for that contest in that first issue for the Indiegogo. We're going to give, big full page for the winner. and we're going to give half a page for the 2 runners up, and then following that, we also said as part of the contest that they would get their character featured in the 2nd issue, whoever won. So in the 2nd issue, we're actually doing it as sort of like a side story, sort of alternate what if kind of scenario, where the villain that they created actually does take out Pineapple Pizza Man. So
very cool. Yeah, that's another great example of the interactivity that you can have with your backers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the most fun parts of the original Abductables, was having that fan art gallery where I basically said, look, anybody who sends in fan art, you're going to get printed in the book. And, I wish we could do that again. Fortunately, we can't just due to page count issues, but that was a lot of fun, just, getting all that fan art in and people getting to see their work in print. So.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to be doing that with Pineapple Pizza Man. I mean, it's one of my favorite things. Plus, I love seeing, what people come up with.
For sure.
All right, so that's going to be it for us tonight. And make sure to follow Michael Derrick here on Twitter and on mine's at Cauldron Comics. That's in the chat there, and it will be in the description. Make sure to check out the Abductables 2 Reticulous on Indiegogo, and that is also in the chat and will be in the description below if you're watching this later on. All right, that's it from me. You can find me on Twitter at JoshAnimate and on mine's at Josh the Animator. And of course, make sure to follow Science Wizard Comics and make sure to subscribe to this channel. And we will have more interviews, showcases, and art streams moving forward. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for stopping by.
Thank you.
And thank you, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Another time.
Yep.
Take care.